Good evening everyone, I am Vishal Salsekar and today we are going to cover the News Today articles for 4th of March. So in today's discussion, we are going to cover 5 important articles in detail. The first article is regarding the transforming of primary agriculture credit societies. So these are the short credit type of societies which are there in order to provide the credit for short term and also in the smaller chunks. But now the government, through this particular budget, they are talking about creating the multi-purpose societies through this, so as to cover the entire India through these particular type of societies. So we are going to talk about this particular article. Next is regarding the Supreme Court objected to the WhatsApp's 2021 privacy policy. So the Competition Commission of India had imposed a fine on WhatsApp Meta, right? Then जो नेशनल कंपनी appellate tribunal था, that particular appellate tribunal also upheld this particular imposition of fine, and now they have applied it in Supreme Court of India, and the Supreme Court of India had provided certain type of observation on this. So we are going to talk about what were the observation of the Supreme Court of India and what exactly was the WhatsApp's 2021 privacy policy. The next article is regarding the strengthening of the capital goods sector. So the capital goods sector is basically the growth engine of any specific economy. Because if in economy there are machines to produce something, then obviously that production is going to get boosted. And in this particular scenario, the strengthening of the capital goods sector is going to become very, very important. And in this aspect, we are going to talk about what is the contribution of the capital goods sector, what exactly is the capital goods sector, and then we are going to talk about what are the issues pertaining to this and also the potential aspects. Next, we are going to talk about the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme, ECMS. And then we will talk about in detail this particular aspect of the electronic manufacturing, because over a period of time, specifically if we talk about that in a few years, there has been many-fold increase in the electronics manufacturing in India. That's why we are going to talk about this in detail. The last article that we'll talk about is the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme, MPLADS, right? So the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation ka scheme, and in this particular scheme, there are certain things and certain observation regarding its efficacy that we are going to talk about. Then we will talk about certain other quick updates. So let's start the discussion with the very first article regarding the Primary Agricultural Credit Societies, PACS. So there has been proposal regarding transforming these particular PACS into the multi-purpose rural growth engine. So in that particular sense, we can say that these primary agricultural credit societies, they can be converted into the specialized aspect, or they can be converted into multiple other things, maybe dairying sector, maybe the other sectors, let's say fisheries. So in these sense, we can utilize, we can diversify their role and we can utilize them in a comparatively better manner. So from the perspective of UPSC examination GS paper 3, where with respect to the agriculture rural economy, it is important along with the inclusive growth, and then GS paper 2, the governance cooperatives and the decentralization, this is a very important aspect. So that's why it is an important article. Now, what exactly is the context? So the government aims to establish the new multi-purpose PACS or dairy or the fisheries cooperatives into covering all the panchayats and villages over next 5 years. So this is the government's plan and proposal in order to diversify the area, in order to cover all the panchayats, so that the people should be coming under its ambit. There will be the growth, there will be development, there will be inclusiveness as a outproduct of this. Now, what are the primary agricultural credit societies? So these are the grassroots level institutions which are there in order to provide the smaller chunks of credit and for the shorter duration. Now, basically when we are talking about the organizations which are providing the credit, so the similar task is being done by the banks also. So how they are different? Generally, they are providing the smaller chunks of the credit. Along with that, the time duration is also short, maybe the one season of the agricultural crop, right? So like this, and they are ensuring that the grassroots level devolution of the funds or the credit is ensured. So they act sometimes as a link between the larger institutions, maybe the RBI, maybe the NABARD, and then other than that, there are certain other banks, and apart from that, on the other side, it is the borrower. So if the borrower wants the smaller chunks of the money, so this is going to be provided through the PACS. Now, there are certain data that you can utilize in your answer. So suppose if there is a question that is asking you to highlight the importance of these organizations. So what are the number of PACS, which are the primary agricultural credit societies that are sanctioned? Roughly 79,000 के around. Then the PACS registered, the new PACS registered is roughly 32,000, and then PACS digitized, because in the digitization wala aspect there is going to be comparatively more transparency and accountability. Along with that, there will be more value enrichment through the PACS. Now, talking about the regulation, so there are basically two types of PACS. One may be confined to that particular state, and another PACS might be working in different states. So the multi-state PACS, which is the multi-state primary agricultural credit societies, that is being governed through the union list. So entry 44 of the union list of the 7th schedule of the constitution, this is there. So this is the entry through which it is deriving its power and regulation. Then the centrally administered by which particular authority? Central Registrar for the Cooperative Societies. Because this is a multi-state, that's why it is centrally regulated, right? And under the provision of the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act of 2002, later on it was also amended. Now, talking about the state related, the PACS, so single state PACS is mentioned in the state list, which is also the part of the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. It is administered by the concerned state registrar of the cooperative societies. Multi-purpose or multi-state is being administered by the central registrar for the of the cooperative society, but the single state is being administered by the state registrar of cooperative society, and along with that the respective act is the State Cooperative Societies Act. Now, talking about what are the potential, what are the significances, because see, if there are institutions which are providing ground level credit, then obviously they are going to be very, very important. They are going to ensure the growth of the country. They are going to ensure comparatively better development to the last mile connectivity. So with respect to agriculture, before the agriculture crop sowing, or maybe the post harvest, or maybe post production wala aspect mein, this is going to ensure a better coverage of all these type of things through the world's largest decentralized grain storage plant. So before that you will need the credit in order to sowing of the crop, then basically for the maintenance also. Then post harvest there will be need for the place to keep all these type of food grains, right? So there are the storage aspects also that is there. Sometimes processing related aspects are also needed, right? So all these contexts mein this is going to provide the support financially and otherwise also. Talking about the dairy sector, so these PACS are also helping for the milk procurement. Because see, these are going to be the cooperative which are providing the last mile connectivity. So enhancing the milk procurement roughly 50% by 5 years, and through the registration of more than 21,000 dairy cooperative societies. So through this, now it is not only confined to agriculture, they can be incorporated in multiple other manners. Maybe the fisheries, maybe the other than that dairying aspect, right? Now talking about the fisheries, improve market linkages by value addition, and what it is doing, it is converting the roughly 1,000 fisheries cooperative societies into the fish farmer producer organizations. So the farmer producer organizations may both are the stakeholders, both are contributor in this particular context, and this is going to ensure better capacity building with respect to the fisheries sector. Now, there are certain initiatives that were also taken regarding the promotion of the primary agriculture credit societies. So first is regarding the computerization. We have seen that the digitization has increased more than 60,000, right? So there is a common ERP based model for the based upon the national software. So this computerization program is going to digitize that particular PACS, and that is going to ensure their presence, their visibility, and along with that the transparency as far as the functioning of PACS is concerned. Talking about the National Cooperation Policy of 2025, so basically cooperative concern, that is the prominent policy, right? And it is talking about the expansion of the membership. So through that there will be more inclusiveness. Maybe the women, maybe the weaker section of society, maybe other people are also able to take participation in this. Talking about the adoption of the model bylaws, so it enables the PACS to function as a multi-purpose service center. So basically when we are increasing the scope, then that will be including multiple other subjects as a part of that, and then PACS will function as a multi-purpose service society. Lastly is regarding inclusive governance. So there is need for representation to ensuring like women, SC/ST members, right, and brought in the cooperative boards under the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Act. So that's what is basically the inclusiveness or inclusion related aspects as far as the PACS are concerned. So these are the things which are going to ensure the comprehensiveness as far as the PACS, primary agricultural credit societies, are concerned, right? Now The question that UPSC had asked, no exact question, but yes, there may be question regarding this, and that was already asked in 2021. So that is regarding the urban cooperative bank, when the banking regulation or the cooperative bank related regulation that was there in news, there was question asked regarding this. So maybe a chance that the PSCS related question can also be asked in this particular examination. So this is the question. Now what you have to do, you have to make sure that you are guessing the answer correctly. Just have an idea regarding these type of questions. Next is regarding the Supreme Court's observation. So Supreme Court has questioned the Meta and WhatsApp over the privacy policy. Now, when we are talking about there is role of judiciary in this particular aspect, so the judiciary, GS paper 2, it is important. So GS paper 2, polity, constitution and governance, it is an important topic. Apart from that, GS paper 3, science and technology, it is an important topic. Along with that, digital economy. So these are the areas from which the question can be asked. Now, what is the exact context? So recently Supreme Court had asked to WhatsApp and Meta regarding their recent order that they had released in 2021, where what they had mentioned is that if you are giving consent to WhatsApp, WhatsApp can utilize that particular data, and that data can be transferred to the WhatsApp related companies or the same parent wala companies like maybe Meta, maybe Facebook, Instagram. These are the corporations functioning in not silo, but they are working together, and these data are getting transferred amongst each other. So that was mentioned in 2021. Those who are agreeing with that, that's fine. If you are not agreeing with this particular type of consent, then obviously you have the opt-out option and you can exit the WhatsApp. That means you are not able to utilize that platform. So first what you have done, you have created the monopoly in the market, you have removed all the type of competition, and once you are sole player in the market, now you are trying to govern the market in their own way or your own way, right? And that particular thing was being highlighted by the Competition Commission of India, and against this particular 2021 privacy policy, Competition Commission of India had imposed a fine of 213 around crore rupees. Now that particular fine was upheld by the Companies Law Appellate Tribunal, right? And now the Meta and WhatsApp have challenged this in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is hearing the appeal in this particular regard. And that's why what Supreme Court had observed, Supreme Court had observed a lot of predatory policies like by the platforms like WhatsApp and Meta. And apart from that, what they have observed that there is some type of like monopoly that is being created. And that's how there is a danger to entire privacy of the people who are utilizing these type of platforms. So this is the policy that we had talked about, that the data can be shared amongst the Facebook and its group of companies, and along with the take it or leave it framework, jahan pe if you are not accepting that particular terms and conditions, you are free to go out, but then obviously you will not be able to utilize the WhatsApp or the services associated with that. So that means there is going to be the disadvantage in both the ways, right? So this is the policy. Now, what are the issues that was being observed by the Supreme Court of India and that it has also highlighted? First thing is regarding the commercial exploitation of the personal data. So what the Supreme Court has highlighted, that this particular data is not like you are giving your data with your consent for all the type of commercial exploitation. What these platforms are doing, suppose if you are, let's say, talking about, let's say, diet plan, they start giving you recommendations regarding these type of videos which will be trying to lure you. How that particular things are being then governed. So these particular data and behavioral trend has been utilized in order to provide you the commercial aspects on the basis of what you have talked about. So basically the commercial exploitation of the personal data, then the abuse of the dominant position. So if you have created certain extent of monopoly over certain things, obviously it is going to create a issue at the end of the user, because now the user is a lot dependent on you. Suppose tomorrow if the WhatsApp says that we are taking back from India, so obviously there will be high chances that then we have to find out the other platforms, or maybe the indigenous, or maybe the external one, but then it will create a type of void in the market, and that's what is the abuse of the dominant position, that it is trying to impose its own terms and conditions. Then erosion of privacy by data sharing. So once you are, let's say, allowing sharing of the data, first the data was with Facebook, now maybe ho sakta hai ki WhatsApp might be having more user, then that particular WhatsApp data might be shared again with Facebook, again shared with Meta, again shared with the other type of companies which are in the same parental company, right? So there is going to be the erosion of privacy. And lastly, regarding the lack of clarity, so this particular type of consent, whenever you are getting that particular agreement, ki terms and conditions, jahan pe you have to check and then submit that particular form. have you ever remembered that you have read entire things in detail? Nobody generally does, right? And that too is having complex language, so that you cannot tomorrow legally challenge that particular thing, and that's what is being manipulated and misutilized by these type of platforms. Now, what are the steps that are being taken by these platforms in order to misguide the people, or basically in order to try to take advantage of the dominant position? So the steps that were taken, first step is regarding the digital personal data protection. So this is by the government of India, what steps we have taken in order to ensure the privacy as far as the data protection is concerned. So after 2017 ka case, Puttaswamy versus Union of India case, right to privacy was identified as equivalent to right to life under Article 21. And that particular thing has highlighted that it is very, very important. And that's why there were certain committees that were being formed, like Justice B.N. Sri Krishna committee, in order to identify that what all things can be part of this particular right to privacy and how that particular right to privacy should be governed. So digital data hai, data protection hai, all these things, how it can be ensured. For those, there was B.N. Sri Krishna committee, and then Digital Personal Data Protection Act was an outproduct of this along with the deliberation. So it recognizes both right to protect the personal data and need to process the data with the lawful purposes. Means aisa nahi hai ki data is absolutely not for the processing, but yes, if there is going to be a processing of that particular data, it has to be with the consent of the user or whose data it is, right? So Digital Personal Data Protection Act DPDP is talking about this, and it is preventing the rent sharing. Means aisa nahi hai ki you are taking a data and then you are transferring data to others, getting the money out of that. Sometimes may not be the money, but just you are trying to take the advantage of your dominant position. So this is what is being done by the Meta and the WhatsApp, right? Now, how UPSC generally is concerned about, or how UPSC generally ask about these type of question: examine the scope of the fundamental rights in the right of the latest judgment of the Supreme Court on right to privacy. Then they had also asked regarding the B.N. Sri Krishna committee ke bare mein ki bhai what are the specific things that were being highlighted. So whenever any specific topic is a hot topic, there are chances that UPSC can ask the question regarding, right? Next topic is regarding budget 2026-27. So it talks about prioritization of the capital goods as a core driver of the investment-led industrial growth. Now just assume that generally in an economy which is having more focus towards the capital based investment, it's not like that they are just giving the freebies. They are creating the machineries. For those machineries there will be need of the people. With those particular people getting employment, they are getting money. They are getting money, then they are going to spend that money. Once they are going to spend that money, that is going to create the demand in the market, and once there will be demand in the market, in that particular sense there will be consumption of the other product also. So it is the capital investment that is going to create a lot of opportunities, and that's why the government is also focusing now more towards the capital investment. And here GS paper 3, which is concerning about the Indian economy and the industrial growth, GS paper 2 regarding the governance policy and the industrial strategy, all these are highlighting regarding the importance of this particular sector. So what exactly are the capital goods? So basically they are those particular type of products. It can be the plants, it can be machinery, it can be equipment, it can be any type of accessories which is used to produce the other things. That means they are required or necessary for the production. They are required for the manufacturing. They are creating certain output out of that. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they might be the services also, sometimes they might be the advantage that they are going to provide, maybe the digitization, maybe let's say the modification, maybe other type of technological development. All these things will come under the definition of the capital goods. Sometimes they might be directly supporting, sometimes they might be also indirectly supporting the production. So sometimes they are directly, sometimes indirectly, sometimes goods के form में, sometimes services भी render करते हैं, right? Apart from that, they are also utilized for replacement, modernization and technological upgradation and development, which is going to increase the production of the things in the economy. Now, what has been the recent policy related things with respect to the capital related expenditure? You might have heard of this scheme, which is the PLI scheme, which is the production linked incentive. The amount of production that you are going to increase, based upon that, linked to that, there is going to be the incentive that is going to provide to you. And in that sense, there is going to be the technology adoption and the skill. Because if you are being given the incentive based upon whatever you are contributing, you are going to increase, you are going to try and check whether any specific new upgradation is going to increase the production, so that will increase the technological upgradation, that will also increase the scale. Apart from that, scheme for the enhancement of the competitiveness in the Indian capital goods sector. So there are certain type of center of excellence that are being created, and this particular scheme for enhancement of competitiveness in the Indian capital goods sector, this is providing the support in this regard. So advanced center for excellence, then the testing infrastructure, all these things are being done. Now these are certain policies that the government of India has launched. Now talking about what are the importance of the capital sector or the capital goods in general. So this particular infographics is highlighting the importance of the capital sector. First, it is creating the multiplier effect. Basically, when there will be more focus towards the capital goods, in that particular sense, you can ensure that whatever products that are being created by these type of capital goods, these particular products are also going to be increased. For example, suppose if there is machineries पे ज़्यादा focus किया जाता है, there will be production that is through the machineries, maybe the mobile phones, maybe the cars, maybe any other type of things, that is going to be increased. So it's not like only the expenditure on the capital, it is going to be the expenditure on a lot of development that is going to be the part of the capital investment. Talking about another aspect, which is the productivity. So if there is going to be the capital related focus, obviously it is going to ensure also the technological upgradation, also the economy of scale, and that is going to increase the automation, that is going to increase the productivity, right? So kam lagat mein, or with the less money you can produce more. Talking about the other aspect, which is the technological catalyst, when you are talking about not necessarily that there has to be only physical machine, but generally the investment that is there in the form of even the technological development. It can be in the form of, let's say, the R&D related facilities, maybe for other type of things, it can be providing the support, right? Next, which is talking about the employment related generation. So it is also talking about the support with respect to the high-end skills related sectors, maybe the labor, which is boosting the technical prowess. And once the technical and the skilled related aspects are going to be the part of the economy, that is also going to ensure that the certain other dependent sectors are also going to get the boost. So technological catalyst be along with the skill generation also, and lastly talking about the strategic independence. So once you are having the large set of production, basically in that particular sense, you can have also the strategic independence. You need not to rely more on the other countries. You need not to take a lot of help. You will be self-sufficient in that particular domain. So these are the capital goods related sectors which are running the capital engine or the economic engine of a country. Now, what budget has focused upon? So budget has highlighted certain things. First, it is highlighting regarding the infrastructure engine. So that is highlighting that over a period of time, there has been substantial increase in the capital related expenditure. So it has increased the public capex expenditure by 9% to roughly 12.2 lakh crore in 26-27. That means extent you can highlight. If there is any question, you have the data available from the budget. Now what is the focus? Focus is obviously the logistics sector. Focus is also in order to reduce the cost that is there in order to produce anything. So inland shipping and high-speed rail corridors, these are the priorities, because this will reduce the transportation cost, and this eventually is going to ensure the better economy, right? Then the high-tech tool room. So basically their central public sector enterprises, these particular enterprises led high-tech tool rooms. So जो चीजें, those are the high-end technological tools which are basically locally designed. They are produced in India, and that is going to increase the productivity. कैसे? Through the high precision tools, and these particular tools are going to ensure that there is going to be the long or the large scale production at India only, and these products are also developed in India. Then the CIE scheme, which is for the construction and infrastructure equipment. So for the construction related things, maybe the machines which are there or needed in order to dig the mountainous regions, or maybe in order to dig the bore, so that you can ensure that there should be connectivity project through the place initially that was stone-led things or the stone-led regions, right? Apart from that, the logistics boost, so roughly 10,000 crore for the new container manufacturing scheme. So that is also going to reduce the logistical cost. Then the duty exemption, basically there are custom duties when you are going to do the import and export, and once there are certain type of exemption, that is going to boost the export, obviously, right? And also certain type of import which are for the critical minerals and other, that is going to reduce the cost of these particular product or inputs. Lastly, the income tax exemption. So for the 5 years, for those NRI entities or the non-resident Indian entities that provides the capital good, equipment or tooling to a toll manufacturer or operating or the contractual manufacturer in India in the bonded zone. So basically specialized zones may, if you are providing certain type of support, you are also going to get a income tax related exemption also. So this is highlighting that how the government is focusing upon increasing the capital related expenditure, and spend on the capital related expenditure is going to ensure that there is going to be comparatively better development in a country and ensure the multiplier effect. That's why it is very, very important. Okay. The next article that we have to discuss is regarding the electronics component manufacturing scheme that has got the 75% budget boost to roughly 40,000 crore. Right. Now, from the perspective of syllabus, obviously it is important from again the similar type of topics that we had discussed in the last article, GS paper 3, which is like Indian economy related aspects, economic and the industrial growth. Because see, if you are talking about the electronics, they are very, very important aspect of the capital related expenditure, and along with that, when you are focusing upon the electronics, you see your mobile phones, you see a lot of electronic devices. All these devices are basically increased in multifold as far as their production in India is concerned, also the export from India is concerned, right? So in that particular sense, India has become self-sufficient as far as the mobile manufacturing, other electronic devices manufacturing is concerned. Now, talking about that, there are certain important aspects that has to be highlighted regarding this particular scheme, which is the electronics component manufacturing scheme. So this particular scheme is being governed by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So the ministry is very, very important. In prelims they can ask you. Then objective. So what basically is the objective of these type of schemes, since it is talking about the electronics manufacturing? So obviously it is going to highlight the electronics component related manufacturing ecosystem. So development of that particular ecosystem, talking about attracting the domestic and the global investment. So if you are going to tomorrow produce a lot of electronic equipment, you will need the fund. So for that particular funding, there is going to be the global and the domestic investment. Along with that, integrating the India's domestic electronic industry with the global value chain. So if you are producing certain things, if you have specialized in certain aspects, then you can contribute to other regions also, other countries also with respect to that thing. Maybe for an example, let's say a mobile phone uses certain type of display panels, mobile phone uses the camera related integration, right? So these are the smaller module in a larger mobile phone. Let's say if India has specialized with respect to the integration of all these type of components in creating a type of the single package, that means the ultimate mobile phone manufacturing, right? So the components might be taken from different places. So all these are part of the supply chain. So that particular global value chain has to be developed. Now, talking about what are the types of incentives that are being provided in this particular electronics manufacturing scheme. So first is turnover linked. So tied to the turnover, if you have produced beyond this, then in that particular sense, it is going to be the incentive for you. Then the capex. Suppose if you are an investor, if you are a company owner, if you have invested beyond a certain amount, so tied to the investing capital asset like machineries, building equipment, right? Other than that, the hybrid, which is the combination of the turnover and the capex. So in any way, the incentives can be provided. So in both the ways, the turnover means you are producing more, the economy of scale will be there. In the capex incentive, you are spending more on the development so that the productivity is going to increase, and also along with that, the comparatively more modernization will be there. Now, what is the tenure? It is for 6 years with 1 year of gestation period. The capex incentive is for the 5 years. Now, what are the targeted segments? So you can see that what are the targeted segments. First is sub-assemblies. So let's say in a mobile phone, there is a sub-segment, maybe the camera, maybe display, so that may be there. Then the bare components, let's say a very basic component, ki camera may be a single camera, including the lens and all. Other than that, let's say a single printed circuit board, PCB, so that particular thing may be there. Then the selected bare components. So one selected component ke liye bhi you can provide the incentive, right? Or this particular target is there. Then there may be supply chain ecosystem and the capital equipment. If you are doing mastery with respect to, let's say, the supply chain integration of that, or maybe with respect to the development of certain type of equipment. So in all these cases, these are the part of the targeted segment. Now lastly, talking about the eligibility, so both greenfield as well as the brownfield, means the new as well as the existing units are eligible for the incentive. So this is basically the electronic component manufacturing scheme. Right. So electronics related sector in India has got boost over a period of time, and roughly in last 5 to 6 years, there has been multifold increase. And if you talk about this particular sector, the production grew roughly from 1 lakh crore, which is 1.9 lakh crore roughly in 2014-15 to 11.3 lakh crore in 2024. So basically over a decade, there has been more than 6-fold increase with respect to the production. When you talk about the export grew more than that, like roughly 8-fold, 38,000 crore se lekar 3.2 lakh crore, around this much increase in the export. This is not production, this is export. And also along with that, the employment, the multifold employment generation has been there. And that type of employment is in which particular sector? Skilled ones. So you can observe that around 25 lakh jobs have been created, and majority of them are the skilled ones, right? Now what is the significance? So once there has been more focus towards electronic sector, we are getting self-sufficiency. Once we are getting self-sufficiency, that self-sufficiency is also ensuring more focus on the make in India in other sectors also. Right. So the electronic manufacturing ecosystem. So like this, the similar this model can be replicated for other type of products also. So roughly building a $500 billion ka domestic ecosystem by 2030-31. Apart from that, the complementing India semiconductor mission. So already India is working upon developing a semiconductor ecosystem so that there will be more focus towards the fabrication and the most basic development of the circuits. Right now we are a lot dependent on other countries, so through this we can ensure there is holistic development of the entire end-to-end manufacturing within India, right? So this is the significance. Next and the last article that we have to discuss comprehensively is regarding the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme, MPLADS, right? So basically, since it is talking about the Member of Parliament, that means the Member of Parliament, both the Member of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha are eligible to this, and that's why this particular scheme is important in order to ensure the development at the local level. Now talking about the GS linkage, GS paper 2 polity, constitution, governance, it is important, and GS paper 4 ethics, integrity and the aptitude, it is a important aspect, and that's why we have to ensure the discussion on these type of topics. Now what is the current context? The context highlights that there are certain discrepancies that has been observed with this particular scheme, and then many voices are saying that let's discontinue also, because that can be thought, because if the money is not being spent properly on the intended aspect, then we can also discontinue, we can replace it with the new scheme, right? And that's why it was there in new. So according to critics, MPLADS fund are inefficiently utilized, diverted, poorly monitored, and scheme should be discontinued. So obviously, dekho, whenever we talk about any of the good initiative, there are already criticism. So in the UPSC, the art of balancing is very, very important. You have to ensure that whatever good it is providing, there is a need to reform, but that does not mean that we have to scrap a thing, and when we can create a new aspect. There may be a chance that the new one will also be having criticism, right? So that's why it is important. Now what is MPLADS, the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Related Scheme? So it is a central sector scheme initiated in 1993. Objective kya tha? Objective was to enable the Member of Parliament to recommend the work for the creation of the durable community assets. It may be the pond, it may be the road related things, it may be any other type of thing, let's say school, maybe any other type of like dispensaries, right? So these particular things can be sanctioned, like community halls also, which is the concerned ministry, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now implementing agency is the government. So concerned department is going to be the implementing agencies, and then trust, cooperatives, etc. And they are selected by the implementing district authority, right? So this is basically the architecture of this. Now, when we talk about the MPLADS, how the fund is being allocated. So for one MP, for 1 year, the 5 crore is the provision that they can spend 5 crore rupees. Now, how they are going to spend? So there are certain criteria. Let's say if you are a Lok Sabha MP, if you are a Lok Sabha MP elected one, so you can spend that particular money within your constituency. So within the constituencies, you have to spend 5 crore for 1 year, right? Rajya Sabha MP, in Rajya Sabha, you do not have exact constituency, you have the state ka quota. So in a state from which you are getting elected to Rajya Sabha, you can spend the money 5 crore within that particular region. Nominated member, nominated member does not come from any specific state only. they are the nominated ones, so they can spend that particular money across India, kahin bhi spend kar sakte hain, right? Now, what are the special provision? So there is a provision that is provided in this particular scheme is regarding the SC/ST population. Suppose karo in a state there is SC/ST population predominantly here, right? So in those particular SC/ST, or maybe within that particular district there are certain patches jahan pe SC/ST population zyada hai, ya SC is zyada hai, ST is kam, ST is zyada hai, SC is kam, like this. There may be permutation combination. So at least 15% of the entire spending has to be done on these particular areas. Clear hai? So suppose karo if that is SC inhabited areas, 15% on this, and then ST inhabited areas mein 7.5%. So basically on those particular population the spending has to be there. It can be vice versa also depending on the population composition, right? Now the good thing about this particular scheme, suppose karo for this year, if suppose because of any reason you were not able to contribute that much, but then next year maybe a chance ki aapke paas zyada projects hai, so what you can do, you can spend more. That means the fund is non-lapsable, this does not get lapsed, so you will have the money available at your disposal. Now what are the exceptions? So there are certain exceptions also, that the MP can recommend 25 lakh per year outside their region, means this particular region ke beyond they can go and they can spend that outside their region with the rationale, and along with that if there is any type of calamity, in that calamity they can recommend up to 1 crore rupee for the affected district. That means again that can be beyond their own region. So ऐसा नहीं कि in any case they cannot give money outside their own region, they can give. UPSC can trick like this, right? So this is important aspect. Now see PYQ, how UPSC had asked the question in 2021, they had asked the 2020, they had asked the question regarding MPLADS fund must be used to create the durable assets like physical infrastructure for the health education. Yes, it is correct. A specified portion of each MP's fund must benefit the SC/ST population. We had seen MPLADS funds are sanctioned on a yearly basis and unused funds cannot be carried forward. This is non-lapsable one, so they are carried forward. This is wrong. District authority must inspect at least 10% of the works under the implementation every year. So this is also a provision that is ensured ki bhai whatever type of projects are being done, there should be audit and random checking of at least 10% of the project in order to get the progress. So this is also a provision, so you can choose the answer accordingly, right? So with this we have discussed the major portion of our news today. So now let's discuss about the other quick updates, the short articles. Now the first in this is regarding VOPPA order of 2025. So the government has issued the show cause notices to the edible oil firms over the non-compliance of VOPPA. Now what is basically VOPPA? So it is the vegetable oil products production and availability. That means products ho, unka availability ho, that means there should not be any shortage, because see, we know that the vegetable oils and the other type of cooking oils are one of the essential commodities that are also being regulated by the Essential Commodities Act of 1955, right? So that's why they are very, very important. Government keeps a track of that, like how much it is availability, kitna stock hai, how much need to be imported, how much we can export if we have buffer available. So under the Essential Commodities Act and incorporates collection of the Statistics Act of 2008. Now, what are the things it is being talked about in the VOPPA orders? It is talking about regulating the production, kitna produce karna hai, availability ensure karna hai, and along with that how much we have to import or how much we can allow to export. Like this, all the type of data has to be there so that we can get that whether there is going to be any shortage or not. Now, what are the characteristics of the new order? So in this particular new order, there has been a mandatory registration. So under the National Single Window System and the VOPPA portal, there is a mandatory aspect of the single window related registration. So every firm which is dealing with the processing, production, stock, etc. with respect to the vegetable oils, that has to ensure the registration. Then the monthly return, so there has to be the compulsory reporting also. So there has to be the compulsory reporting, and that particular thing has to be done on a monthly basis regarding the stock, regarding the production, regarding the supplies available, etc. The coverage, it applies to the crude, refined oil, then the blended oils, then the vanaspati, and then the margarines also. So all the type of oils are being covered. So UPSC can trick you with certain type of that it is only applicable to vanaspati, it is not applicable to the vegetables oil and all. So these are also covered. Now next is regarding the gross value added GVA. So basically, since Recently there has been budget, so these particular terms can be asked in the examination, and through the budget document and the discussion on the budget you can get the idea regarding these particular terms. So as per the provisional estimates, the GVA of the agriculture sector roughly increased 10.4% during 2024-25. So growth is roughly 10.4%. Now what is GVA, gross value added? Means how much grossly you have done the value addition. It is removing all the type of intermediate consumption. Matlab, suppose karo, if you are producing, let's say 10 units, but in order to produce that particular unit, certain kharcha is there, certain intermediate consumption is there, and that intermediate consumption has to be removed, and that particular value after removal of that comes as the GVA. So it is the value of total output produced in economy less the value of the intermediate consumption. Okay? So this is the value. 10 ka value, let's say 100, and the intermediate consumption is of roughly 3 value, that means 30. So total 70 is the gross value added. Now budget allocation of the Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare to roughly 1.27 lakh crore. So one of the highest budgets that has been provided. Now GVA percentage growth in agriculture and allied sector, it is just mentioned ki kitna growth hua. It was 2010, and this is to give you a trend, because sometimes UPSC asks regarding that it has constantly increased. Now the gross value added is roughly like 10% bada, then there was 10.6 on and above this, then 8.5 on and above this, then 9.6, then 10.4. So the growth ka agar aap trend pucho, so it is fluctuating. If increase pucho, to it is increasing at every year, right? But then growth ka percentage is fluctuating. Next is regarding the turtle trails. So basically this is a avenue of the tourism where the government in this particular budget has highlighted that there is going to be the eco-sensitive tourism, which is the turtle trail, which is to give you idea regarding that how our ecosystem is, and this particular ecosystem you can take the benefit of watching it by entering in that particular zone. Now obviously there are very high chances that it can also disrupt the natural pattern of those particular ecosystem based species, like in this particular case turtles. So the budget the turtle trails that has been announced has drawn the apprehension from the conservatists and the wildlife researchers, and that's why it is important. So what they are planning to create the sustainable turtle trail. The government has mentioned that will be sustainable. We will ensure that there should not be over encroachment. Now in order to create the turtle trail, you have to create certain infrastructure, and that infrastructure can disrupt a lot of aspects from those particular species. So where it is going to be there? Odisha, Karnataka, Kerala, which is basically holding one of the highest turtle species. And you might have seen that there are olive ridley turtle. Every year there is Aribada, which is the mass nesting that is observed in the region of Ganjam district of Odisha and other regions also, and specifically on the coast of the, or on the banks of the Rishikulya river, right? So the conservation versus tourism, this is going to be always there. So a specific set of people are going to say that the conservation has to be preceded, and then there will be other people who are pro economy that will talk about that yes, sustainable tourism can be promoted. So conservation versus tourism debate that is going to be there, but yes, whatever development we are going to do, that has to be done keeping in mind that these particular fragile ecosystem once gone cannot be repaired again. And that's why building infrastructural critical rookeries like the Rishikulya river, we have also the previous examples jahan pe species have lost because of this. That's why the sensitive habitats has to be clearly ensured that there should not be over extraction. Now talking about the sustainability path, so there should be non-invasive infrastructure, then the low carbon impact, community engagement, all these things has to be ensured in order to highlight comparatively lesser impact on the ecosystem or the natural one, right? Next is regarding the New START treaty. So this was the strategic arms reduction treaty, right? So this was as an outproduct of the arms race which was going on during the time period of Cold War. So the experts are now warning that once this particular treaty is gone, now there may be again the rearmament of the countries. Right now they have kept the number of nuclear weapons in their arsenal, but then they can increase. So experts warn the expiry of the New START treaty will remove the legal restraint on the world's two largest nuclear arsenal. So it is the new strategic arms reduction treaty, New START. The caps have been deployed ki US and Russia, they can keep roughly 1550 nuclear warheads each. Means this is a legal imposed cap. But then suppose karo if there is no such treaty in order to govern this, and in that case now the America and Russia are free to increase their stockpile, right? And already the world order is getting deteriorated, and through this there will be further impact on the number of the arms, and this can trigger other countries like China, like India. They can also increase their stockpile. Now this New START treaty has restricted the delivery system, means intercontinental ballistic missiles, then the submarine launched ballistic missiles, heavy bombers, to prevent the army buildup. Means in all manner it was trying to prevent any type of development of the weapons of mass destruction. But once it is gone, now it is going to impact the countries, it is going to impact the stability. So this particular arms regime is going to get lesser strengthened because of this, right? Next is regarding the suborbital tourism. So Blue Origin, which is a space company like the SpaceX, now it has suspended its New Shepard suborbital tourism program for at least 2 years to prioritize NASA's Artemis lunar lander program. ठीक है? So basically Blue Origin ने अपना plan को suspend किया for the next 2 years. So what is the suborbital tourism? That means like generally you might have observed that the people go to the space, they live over there, and then they are becoming part of the international space जो आपका station है ISS, and then they are again coming back on the earth, but then they are going to perform certain experiment over there. But then what the recently the companies or the other organizations are trying to do, they are trying to create it as a type of tourism, of space tourism, right? Where they are not launching people and keeping them stay for a longer period of time. They are launching it through the vehicle, and that particular vehicle is going to just give you an idea regarding how actually space looks like. Just on that particular age they are going to take, and then they are going to return you from there. So it will not be hosting for a longer period of time. It will be a very short time period time period where you are going to observe the tourism. So that will show you like how the earth looks from space. That will also give you an idea regarding how the microgravity or the less or the zero gravity feels like. So that experience you are going to get. So journey roughly crossing the 100 kilometer of Kármán line and reaching to the edge of the space without entering into the full orbit. So you are reaching to that particular line jahan par you will be observing space, because this is a line dividing the atmosphere and the space, and then without entering into the full orbit, means you will not be then in that particular orbit. It will be a type of elliptical orbit jahan pe it is going to go till there and then again going to come back to earth. It will following a parabolic path. Suborbital vehicle don't achieve a immense speed necessary to stay in orbit. So speed will be lesser, and that's why you will not be escaping the space, right? So very short, typically 10 to 15 minutes, and through this you will be able to experience the entire things with respect to this particular space based aspect. So passengers witness the earth curvature, experience the several minutes of weightlessness, microgravity, all these things you will be observing, right? Next is regarding the solid fuel ducted ramjet technology. So DRDO has recently developed or carried out the successful demonstration of the solid fuel ducted ramjet technology from the integrated test range Chandipur, Odisha, right? So basically what is exactly the ramjet technology? So this is basically a type of the air breathing system, because the ramjet mein what it is doing, it is not carrying the oxidizer along with that. Whatever atmospheric oxygen is there, that particular oxygen is acting as a oxidizer. So it is air breathing system. So along with the solid fuel rocket, it is also air breathing. That means it need not to carry its own oxidizer. The oxygen it can carry from the external one, so that will reduce the eventual oxygen that had to be taken previously, and through that you can keep comparatively more fuel, and it will give you more thrust, it will give you more cruise, right? So ramjet is basically being utilized for this. So ramjet is a type of air breathing jet system that uses the missile's forward speed. That means once you are moving forward, the air is striking you, and through that the air is channelized into the body of the rocket, and through that oxygen you are doing the combustion process. It enables the longer engagement range, it ensures the sustained high speed, and that will be ensuring comparatively longer distance cruise, right? So the boosters, SFDR's motor, and apart from that the controlled fuel flow mechanism, all these are part of the solid fuel ducted ramjet technology, right? So all these will become a part of this, and then they form a entire rocket system. Last is regarding the Kanjiranga National Park. So where it is situated, it is in Assam near the Brahmaputra river, right? So a study by Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleoscience It is examined that the reason behind the decline and the present confinement of the mega herbivores, the one horned rhino in this particular case, to Kaziranga National Park. So this particular study is highlighting that once they were prevalent in the entire subcontinent, now why they are mainly confined to the Kaziranga only, and that's what is being highlighted in this particular study. So that's why the Kaziranga is important. That's why the aspect of the fact related to that is important. You can have a watch towards the location of Kaziranga. It is situated in the Brahmaputra floodplains. Where it is situated? Assam. Then between the Brahmaputra river and the Karbi or the Mikiri hills. So दोनों के बीच में situated है. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site of 1985, and then a tiger reserve also, important bird area also. So it is a very important region to be observed. The host of roughly 2/3 of the entire world's one-horn rhino. So 2/3 of the entire world's one-horn rhino. Along with that, since it is a tiger reserve also, there is tiger also that is can be sighted. Elephants, then the Asiatic water buffalo, then the swamp deer. All these are available in the Kaziranga National Park. Then it is established previously as the reserve forest in 1905 during the British time period, and then now it is recognized as the important bird area by the BirdLife International. So it is a very, very important region from the perspective of the conservation of the species, right? So with this, we have completed the news today discussion of 4th of February. I hope that whatever we have discussed is clear to you. Now just attempt the questions that are already available on the screen, and then we will meet again for certain other set of discussion. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.